Coming up on the 2014 FIFA World Cup magazine, we sample street football in Paraná. We hear about the programme of Pacification in Rio's Santa Marta Favela. And we celebrate Cruzeiro's coronation as the national champions of Brazil. But we begin in Paris, where France needed to overturn a 2-goal deficit against Ukraine in the second leg of their European zone playoff. Mamadou Sakho gave them hope with a 22nd minute opener. 12 minutes later, the tie was all square, Karim Benzema latching onto the loose ball to send the French fans wild with delight. The next goal was always likely to be decisive, and Oleg Gusev got it. Unfortunately for Ukraine, it was scored in his own net, and France, the FIFA World Cup winners on this ground back in 1998, were able to celebrate a remarkable comeback and a place in Brazil. Zlatan Ibrahimovic versus Cristiano Ronaldo. That's how Sweden's tie with Portugal was billed. Ronaldo outshone his rival in the first leg, scoring the only goal in Lisbon. In the second, in Solna, the Portuguese looked likely to come out on top once again as he made it 1-0. But Ibrahimovic hauled Sweden back into the tie with 2 goals. That, his second, to make it 2-2 on aggregate. It was a case of anything you can do, though, as Ronaldo soon weighed in with his second of the night, dashing any hopes of Sweden completing their fight back. The Real Madrid star then scored a third to confirm Portugal's place in Brazil, where he'll be one of the star attractions. In Wellington, New Zealand's chances of overturning a 5-1 first-leg deficit against Mexico were extinguished early on, as Oribe Peralta, who'd scored twice in the first leg, helped himself to a 19-minute hat-trick. Peralta was Mexico's hero when they defeated Brazil in the final of the 2012 Olympic tournament, and he scored an impressive 10 goals in 11 qualifying games in this campaign. The All-Whites pulled 2 goals back, but Carlos Peña completed a comfortable victory for Mexico. Elsewhere, Greece, Croatia and Uruguay were also successful in the playoffs. So here's a check on the 32 teams that will contest the 20th FIFA World Cup in Brazil, with Bosnia-Herzegovina the only nation set to make its tournament debut. Among the others are all 8 former winners of the game's most coveted prize. Welcome to Oficina Brennand, a 12-hectare estate on the outskirts of Recife. It's home to more than 2,000 sculptures, all of them the work of 86-year-old contemporary artist Francisco Brennand. Widely regarded as something of a maverick, his work has long since divided opinion in Brazil.
I was thought to have been working on subjects linked to the world of sexuality, to the world of erotica. But in reality, it was linked to the world in a way that's previous to all of that, to the start of everything, to the very beginning of creation.
Today, art students are regular visitors to Oficina Brennand, which was built on the site of his ancestors' sugar plantation in an area where the European colonialists fought for control of Brazil in the early 19th century.
I didn't choose this place to be the centre of my world just because it was my birthplace. I selected this location because the entire history of our nation was shaped right here.
It was during a visit to Europe in 1949 that Brennand's passion for sculpting was awakened. A chance visit to Pablo Picasso's ceramic works in Paris drew him into a world that would soon become his career. And being Brazilian, his appreciation for the arts also extends to the football pitch.
Today, a player like Neymar could work in a circus. He could spend countless hours with a ball, passing it back and forth, turning and balancing it on his back. He has total command of the ball. Take one of our greatest writers, Nelson Rodriguez. who was passionate about football and who was a Fluminense fan. He wrote extraordinary chronicles about the game. Football is a passion. Football is, in fact, global.
Recife will stage 5 matches next year, and those fans visiting who have a love for the arts would be well advised to head for Oficina Brennand, just a 20-minute drive from the city centre. All of the octogenarian's work is on show, including pieces depicting the most fundamental object of life.
My interest in the egg is something deep-rooted. It's not just its form, it's also what it means. The idea of the egg as the birth of everything. In some cultures, it's linked to birth. It's the idea of the egg as a symbol of immortality. Things are eternal because they reproduce.
Many Brazilian players have entertained us down the years, but who's your favourite? Here to tell us his is Vladimir Weiss.
My favourite Brazilian footballer is my friend Robinho. I learnt a lot from him when we played together at Manchester City. He is a big football star. He has a lot of talent and a wide range of football skills. He's also a very nice person. There have been many Brazilian football superstars, but my good friend Robinho is my idol.
In March 2012, renovation work started on the Estadio Beira-Rio in Porto Alegre. The original stadium took 10 years to construct and wouldn't have been possible had the fans of Sport Club Internacional not contributed the bricks and cement themselves once the club's finances had run dry. The stadium changed little for the next 40 years until it was chosen as a venue for the 2014 FIFA World Cup. In preparation, the lower tier of the stadium has been redeveloped, the exterior redesigned and a metal roof added. It will boast a capacity of just over 50,000, and the cost is being met by Internacional, whose fans, the Colorados, will reap the benefits for years to come.
It's a home for all the Colorados. And this stadium means a lot to the fans, as it's here that the club has won many important games. And this venue has a beautiful history. It's also worth pointing out that the club has autonomy over the management of the stadium. We've drawn up a contract that allows us to manage the ticket revenue from our members, and this is very important for the club. It's a traditional stadium with great views because the seats aren't too close to the pitch. Our fans tend to be very traditional, and it was their desire to retain what we consider to be a traditional stadium.
With a FIFA Club World Cup title, 2 Copa Libertadores triumphs and 3 national championships to their name, Sport Club Internacional are one of Brazil's most successful clubs.
On the one hand, it's sad, but on the other, you have to be happy. It's obviously sad to see the end of the old stadium, the Beira-Rio, where we played so many times. It holds so many good memories. I'm also happy though, because the Beira-Rio is being refurbished. The new stadium will be a venue boasting great technology for the fans, the journalists and for those people following the games. We'll have a first-class stadium.
Due to be completed by the end of 2013, the Estadio Beira-Rio will be the largest stadium in the south of Brazil and will be a fitting venue for any game.
The players who only have a contract until the end of the year have said that they really want to stay with the club, to have a chance to play in the new Beira-Rio. It's been quite exciting for everyone. It's become an additional motivation for the players to play better football in order to be here next year, so they too can play in this great new stadium, the Beira-Rio, which is now taking shape.
Tem aqui a marília e direto, carne com legumes, bife à milanesa com batata corada, carré, couve e farofa.
Welcome to the Favela Santa Marta.
My name is José Mario Hilario dos Santos. I was born and raised in the Santa Marta community. Santa Marta is a favela that came into being in the 1930s. It's a community whose first inhabitants were from the north of Rio, from the northeast of Brazil, and from the Paraíba Valley. They came here to work on the construction of the altar of Colegio Santo Inácio. And because they couldn't go back to their homes at night, with the permission of the priest, they built some small shacks so they could stay over and just go back to their homes at weekends. Without realizing it, the priest was creating the most loved favela in Brazil, Santa Marta. Santa Marta was considered to be one of the most violent favelas in Rio de Janeiro. And in the 1980s, there was the Great War, the first war in our city between two well-known local drug barons. That war was reported internationally, and the image that was created was not a true reflection of the favela. We were always perceived as a violent favela, and the community and social work done within our neighborhood was never appreciated. In 2008, with the arrival of the UPP, the Pacifying Police Unit, Santa Marta was chosen to be the first favela to be part of the project of pacification. The UPP helped the favela become safe, and it was no longer considered a danger zone. After the favela was pacified, we went to the Tourism Secretary of Rio de Janeiro to look for assistance in creating jobs within our community. The Secretary of Sport and Tourism of Rio de Janeiro helped us implement a project called Rio Top Tour. This is a project that allows local and international tourists to go on a guided tour of the favela with Santa Marta residents. Today, Santa Marta is a community that receives 10,000 tourists a month. If you walk around the neighborhood, you will bump into tourists all the time. Tourists from all over the world. The whole world is flocking to Santa Marta. That's why I say that today, we are the most loved favela in Brazil.
I love football. It's cool because I can play it with my friends at school, in the street and on the courts. We dribble around and everyone has a laugh. That's why I like football.
I love football because it feels great when we dribble the ball around each other. Football allows us to play with our friends and our dads.
Brazilians of all ages love their football, and giving children the opportunity to hone their skills is only to be encouraged. Futebol de Rua does just that. Founded in 2006, this non-governmental organisation works primarily with schools in Curitiba, but also runs activities in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. The programme targets kids from low-income backgrounds, and the aim is to use football as a tool to teach the children some important life skills. As for the laws of the game, they certainly differ from those that will be applied at the FIFA World Cup next year.
In street soccer, we play 3-a-side. The goals are small, there's no goalkeeper, and we have only 2 rules. The first one is about fair play. Fouls are forbidden. And the second is that dribbling has more value than a goal. In Brazil, we have a number of dribbles which score 3 points, while a goal is worth only 1. We prize the beautiful game, the Brazilian ginga. We aim to create a game that is beautiful to both those who play it and those who watch it.
Aside from running street soccer clinics, the programme organises a number of tournaments, including the Curitiba Cup, which features over 800 children from across the city's 8 districts. The competitions are hugely popular with the kids, but when dealing with youngsters from underprivileged backgrounds, there are sometimes 1 or 2 obstacles to overcome. Earning people's trust and convincing them of the positive aims of the programme can be hard. So too is financing the operation, but that's where sponsorship and government funding come in.
We work on social responsibility and fair play. The idea is to focus on teamwork, so it's important for us to attract as many children as possible to the schools. This is not always easy, but with a good support structure, we can succeed.
For Futebol de Rua, the plan is not only to increase the work they currently do in Brazil's inner cities, but to expand overseas and to one day organise a street soccer World Cup. And all the while, they'll be working to improve the lives of the children who come to kick a ball.
Our goal here is to mould citizens. We're not aiming to create stars. We know that we have had and that we will have many skillful players. When this happens and they want to play football, we try and guide them. But our main goal here is to help people be aware of their rights and duties. We want people who will give back to society, even if it's not through football.
I love football because it's very cool. When I'm at home with nothing to do, I go and play football. I love the fact that being humble and playing fair are the basic elements of the game.
Everyone should play football. Not everyone can because of their circumstances, but that should change. Football means many things to many people.
The city of Brasilia, the federal capital of Brazil, was designed and built in the 1950s in record time. It was an ambitious project by any standards, and the construction of an entire city had consequences for the wildlife. But a solution was quickly found.
Brasilia Zoo was built at the same time as the city of Brasilia, as a way to entertain the city's inhabitants. In the following years, it has evolved and improved, and today, a zoo like Brasilia's focuses on research, environmental education, and, logically, the conservation and reproduction of some species.
A popular destination for locals and tourists alike, Brasilia Zoo boasts 217 different species and more than 1,400 animals in all. Plenty to see then in what are beautiful surroundings on the outskirts of this unique city.
We receive visits from many schools. We organise monitored tours for them when they book in advance. On the day of the visit, a member of staff is allocated to the school in order to give the children some information about how the animals feed, how they live, what their main habits are, and if they're nocturnal or not.
The zoo runs an intern program, and places are always in high demand from students on courses in veterinary medicine, animal science and biology. Some have secured full-time employment here, helping the zoo to achieve its goals.
These animals are not here merely as lodgers. We have them here with the specific objective of educating, and in the case of our endangered species, of helping with the process of reproduction.
More than 100,000 people visit Brasilia Zoo each month. It's a first-rate experience for them, as it is for the animals, whose welfare is the absolute priority for everyone involved.
We have an entire team assigned to developing, creating, and producing diets for all the different animals, and a team of technical people who, on a daily basis, study their behavior. We concern ourselves on a daily basis with the quality of life of our animals. Their well-being is our primary concern. We want them to enjoy the best possible life in here.
Brasilia has many attractions for its many visitors, and the zoo is likely to get even busier when the FIFA World Cup comes to town. Cruzeiro have been the dominant force in Brazil's national championship this year. They're the only team to have beaten each of their 19 rivals, and as the season neared its conclusion, Porto Alegre giants Grêmio were put to the sword in front of 60,000 fans at Belo Horizonte's World Cup Stadium. Striker Borges opened the scoring for Cruzeiro in spectacular fashion. In the second half, substitute Willian doubled the home side's lead. A third from Ricardo Goulart completed a 3-0 victory to edge Marcelo Oliveira's men ever closer to a third national title.
I thought there was a bad atmosphere at the club when I first arrived. This was maybe due to previous campaigns that hadn't gone so well. Morale was low and, technically speaking, it was necessary to bring in players with more quality and a better attitude. I needed to improve the working environment, something I feel is fundamental. It's not just about the daily routines. You also have to look forward to coming to work, to have fun, and want to be together, and to have everybody moving in the same direction. That was the goal.
Oliveira was a controversial choice with Cruzeiro's fans when he took charge in January. Having played for and coached their city rivals Atlético Mineiro, it perhaps shouldn't have come as too much of a shock to him.
I was surprised by the reaction and strong protests when I was named as coach. But at the same time, I noticed that there were no questions about my ability to do the job. The reaction was due to the rivalry between the two main teams here in Minas Gerais. I was looking to get the fans on my side by doing what I enjoy most, namely a good job, as I was working for a club with a great infrastructure and great traditions, and I had the means to form a good squad to compete this season.
The Grêmio victory put them 13 points clear with just 5 games to play, and so fans and players had every reason to celebrate. And 3 days later, their coronation was confirmed after a 3-1 victory over Vitória, a third national title, Cruzeiro's first since 2003. More significantly, perhaps, it was the first time a club from a city other than Rio or Sao Paulo had won the championship since they themselves lifted the trophy those 10 years ago.
Looking ahead, even when you are the champions, you should always seek to progress, to add something, to improve the way you work, to sign new players. Right now, we're just concentrating on finishing this season. But internally, we're already talking about a few things. I think it's important to keep the core of this team together, but where necessary, also look to sign new players.
Next time, we'll have news and reaction from the final draw for the 2014 FIFA World Cup. We're in Belo Horizonte, where the volunteers have been brushing up on their foreign language skills. And we travel to Brazil's border with Argentina to see the spectacular Iguazu Falls. Until then, goodbye.